What's up, guys? So as a follow-up to last week's city update where you saw this dark orange building, I wanted to post a tutorial to show you guys how I achieved that deteriorating technique on the corner. So let's get into it. So first, let's look at the parts that are needed. You are going to need a bunch of snot bricks, both in the 1x2 by 2/3 and the 1x1 by 2/3 form. You don't really need to worry about the color. I just like tan and gray because they tend to be pretty cheap. Next, you're going to need a bunch of wedge plates. Now, I like to get them in both left and right varieties, ranging from the 1x2 up to the 1x3, all the way up to the 2x6 wedge plates, just so that it gives you enough flexibility. You don't need a ton on hand. Honestly, I'd probably get 8 to 10 of each variety, and that should be enough. Next, you're going to need some bricks for your exposed brick section here. I'm just using some 1x2 masonries and some 1x1 bricks, but you can pick whatever you want or whatever color. It really is up to you. After that, if you want to take it another level and you want to add some landscaping, you're going to need to get some espresso plates, some leaves, as well as some brown whips for the vine effect. Next, this is the most part-intensive part you're going to need. You will need a lot of tiles. I'm using dark orange. You'll also want to get some faceted tiles, but 1x2s and 1x1 tiles are very useful. You may also want to just get some other 1x1 plates and 1x1 rounded tiles just to add in some variety. So let's get started with the technique. First, you're going to start to lay down your first layer of exposed brick, and then you're going to add a snot brick on each side. And here's where you're just going to start playing around with different combinations of wedge plates until you get the desired effect. And really, you're going to continue to repeat this process until you get to your desired height. I will say, definitely spend the time to play around with it and understand how much exposed brick you want. I recommend trying to create some asymmetry. I think that's what really makes this technique pop, is that it's not even and it looks like very natural deterioration, but it does take a lot of trial and error and figuring out exactly how you want it to look. And especially if you're going to add landscaping, you also want to give yourself a little bit of room just so you have clearance to actually get the leaves to stick out and everything kind of fits in nicely without being just too jammed in. Now you'll see that I like to do the exposed brick just really basic with the masonries and the 1x1s in the beginning. What I actually do at the end is I go back and take that section out, and then if I want to add deterioration or plants, I can do that. And what's nice about it is it lets me kind of get my finished product done in terms of the angled plates and the tiling, but then I can go back and figure out how busy and how deteriorating and how much landscaping I want to add to that exposed section so that you don't end up with a final product that's just way too busy. You can just leave it like this. I mean, I think it looks pretty good and clean that way as well. I just really like the way that the olive green leaves and the brown vines contrast with the colors. So that's typically how I go about doing this technique. So next, I'm going to show you guys how to use this technique on just a flat surface. Once you've done it on a corner, it's pretty self-explanatory, but similar to the corner, you're going to lay down a bunch of snot bricks, and then you're going to determine the size of the exposed section you want. And then again, you're just going to start playing with wedge plates. Now, don't forget that these snot bricks equal 1 brick and 2 plates. So as you're adding bricks and plates and creating this exposed section, just make sure you're kind of keeping your math right. What's nice is if you're not doing this on a big area, it's pretty easy to just kind of double check yourself and make sure that all the studs on the snot bricks line up. But you can see, again, really simple. You just start laying in the wedge plates and there you go. So then after that, you're going to just add that next layer of plates to kind of lock everything into place and have your base for the tiling to go on. You don't need to use light bluish gray. The color really won't matter because it won't be seen underneath the tiles except for the wedge plates. So I'm just using light gray because that's what I have on hand. So next, to do the same technique but adding a window is really, again, just the same as you did for that exposed section on the flat wall. You're just going to want to make sure that your Lego math lines up and so that you've got the windows at the right height. So again, that all those snot studs will line up, and then you add your plates on top of it, and there you go. So now it's time for the tiling, and I like to start with the corner and I work out from there, and I add the faceted tiles, and then I kind of just go in and fill in the gaps from there. And this is typically when I'll find myself often going back and changing the angled plates on the corner because I really like these faceted tiles. And sometimes when you're tiling it, the wedge plates you put down don't end up fitting with how you really want the tiles to look. But I won't show you guys all the tiling on camera because it's pretty self-explanatory. But here you can just see the finished product with the tiling, and it looks really good already, and that's with just the basic masonry bricks. So now let's talk about how we add the plants and a little bit more deterioration to the actual exposed corner section. So at this point, if you want to leave it as is, you totally can. But if we want to take it a step further, add some more deterioration, we can use all kinds of different things. It's the same technique I use for my deteriorating walls, just using ingots and tiles and rounded plates, things like that. Now, again, if you want to take it to the next level, you can add in these espresso plates and then add leaves on the end of that. You could also add larger plant elements. I just think that it would cover up the exposed section and kind of defeats the purpose of the whole technique. So after that, then you just kind of wedge the whips in, kind of try to fit them where you can and twist them around and just kind of create whatever natural and organic shape that works for you. So that's pretty much it, guys. It's a really simple technique. It looks a lot more complex than it is. It is somewhat part intensive, especially with the snot bricks and the plates and the tiles. But if you plan ahead and you do this in the studio, or you look at what you have on hand, you can make it fairly cost effective. Now, if you want to see what the rest of this build is going to end up looking like, well, you're just going to have to hit subscribe so you don't miss this next city update. And with that, we will see you next time.